Hello, and thank you for joining us for the ATD San Diego Get Good with Articulate Storyline Workshop, also brought to you through ISBI SoCal. I'm John Morley, a instructional design consultant. If I can help you with a project, my email address is in the chat window. Nobody knows everything about storyline, especially me. So this evening we are very fortunate to have with us somebody who can share what he knows. This is Joe Waddington. Joe has been a session leader at DevLearn and Articulan. He has over 20 years of experience in the knowledge transfer business, and during that time, he has worked for four different state agencies in Washington state, and he now leads a community of practice for e-learning. So, Joe, thank you for joining us, and what you got for us?
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for coming to listen to me ramble. So, this is um, when John asked me to share something this round. I wanted to take a step back. This is a presentation that I gave at Articulate Users Conference a couple of years ago, um, but I thought it was something that was important, and I don't know that everybody's had an opportunity to really focus on that. So I'm gonna share my screen, John. This is focus. We're going to focus on mastering focus order. A little bit about me, real quick. I consider myself an accidental accessibility expert. I didn't set out to be an accessibility expert. I just wanted to make cool things in storyline. Then I got hired by a state agency where we were putting out courses to the entire state, and we had to make sure that our courses were accessible. Luckily, I had a good mentor at the time who helped me along and kind of showed me the ropes. And shortly after me starting, I had this thought that if I was struggling to do this as a full-time e-learning developer, how much for those other state workers who are maybe developing e-learning as a 5% other duties as a sign job? Which we have a lot of those in state service. Hey, you're good with computers. Can you build a e-learning course? And so I developed a e-learning accessibility workshop to teach new developers how to make their courses accessible and the different steps that they had to take in storyline, specific steps, not just the rules behind it, but what steps in storyline did they have to do. This is a snippet of that, and we're going to be talking about mastering the focus order. Real quick, though, before we get into it, uh, I want to talk about the importance of accessibility. It is making sure that our courses are accessible is really essential in our modern learning environment. We have a variety of different learners interacting with the courses that we build with a large variety of different needs and abilities, and you don't know who is accessing your course. I used to work for Department of Corrections, and they said, "Oh, nobody with disabilities works for us because we're
Mhm.
Department of Corrections." But and I think a lot of organizations kind of get in that mindset. But when you think about it, whether it's a permanent disability or a temporary disability due to illness or injury, we all deal with uh, different adaptive technologies to help us. By ensuring that our courses are accessible, we ensure access to all our users, including those with disabilities. In relation to this course, or in this presentation, it's mainly about making sure you have clear navigation, having well-structured content with logical headings, logical layouts, and easy to follow interfaces. If you have a next button that's moving all over the screen and is hard to predict where it's going to show up next, that's not usable to anybody. And so we want predictive interactivity. It that helps reduce the cognitive load for our learners so they can focus on the content and not searching for where the button's going to be. Yeah, it allows the learners to focus on the content. Also, making sure that there's multiple ways for learners to engage with the content. For a good chunk of our learners, it's read the information on the screen, click the next button, or click here, or do a click and drag. Uh, it's pretty directed, straightforward, and interactive. But for different learners with different disabilities, they might not be able to use a mouse. They might not be even be able to see the screen that you've spent a lot of time to make look pretty. And so having multiple ways for the users to engage with that content is critical. Things like providing text alternatives for images helps reinforce
Mhm.
the understanding, whether it's hidden in alt text or a text box under the screen, providing additional content. Having transcripts for audio helps the learners review your content. I had a coworker who told me she didn't turn on the narrator. She muted the course as soon as she started
Mhm.
it and would just read the transcripts.
Mhm.
And I'm going, okay, whatever
Yeah.
is easiest for you to absorb the content. Here, interesting story I heard a couple of years ago. Washington State Department of Licensing updated their driver's guide. That book that all the kids have to read through to take the test, right? They updated that, and when they updated it, they decided to make sure that it was accessible, including accessible to blind and
Mhm.
visually impaired learners. And you stop and you think and you go, but they're not going to be driving. Didn't matter. They made sure that it was accessible visually impaired learners by providing an audio version of it. Now, what happened was shortly after they launched this, they started receiving praise and notes from driving instructors who were saying that they had noticed an uptick in their test scores for the and what was happening was their students were interacting with that audio version, listening to it. It helped students with learning disabilities or problems with reading comprehension, and they benefited from this audio version of it. And by making it more accessible to visually impaired learners, they also made it more accessible to others that they didn't envision or see down the road, but has really helped them. And so I thought that was a really interesting accidental benefit of it. So this session, we're going to focus on two main topics, and that is reviewing the specific skills that you need to make your course accessible around focus order and how you manage that focus order. And then a lot of users, a lot of developers have never tested their course with a screen reader. And so I want to take a little bit of this session just showing you what the screen reader says when it interacts with your course. And having that understanding will help you plan for it. And I'm also going to give you some resources to be able to go out and test it yourself, and just give you some guidance there. So, with that in mind, let's get started. Oh, the other thing I will tell you is that articulate storyline, even with its new and newish
Mhm.
fancy accessibility checker, one of the things it doesn't check is focus order. It won't tell you whether something is in the right focus order or not. It'll tell you pictures, it'll tell you alt text,
Mhm.
but it won't correct your focus order for you. All right, let's see. I'm gonna minimize that. I'm gonna bring articulate over here. When I talk about focus order, I'm talking about the tab order in which for the interactive objects. And when I say tab order, screen keyboard users, when they interact with our courses, if they can't use a mouse, the way to navigate through a course is by pressing the tab key. The tab key will take you from one interactive object to another. And so by playing with the focus order, you have the ability to control in what order those interactive objects appear or become interactive. Focus order also talks about the reading order for non-interactive objects. Stuff like text boxes, images, and shapes all those things appear in your focus order and are readable by a screen reader. You want to be able to control the order that that is read in. Okay. And I'll give you a couple of examples of when it's good and when it's bad. But that's what we're talking about here when we talk about focus orders. It's not anything a sighted user is ever going to see or interact with, really. It is more, it is, but it is the key way that keyboard users and screen readers interact. So we have to focus on that. For this, it means putting things in the correct reading order and taking all the fluff out of it. And so the default focus order for a screen, if you've done nothing to it and you go up, when I say focus order, there's a button up here in Storyline, up on the Home tab, that says focus order. When you click on that, it's going to show you every single object on your screen or in that slide. And it puts it in the order of top to bottom, left to right. That is its default order. And when a screen reader goes through or a keyboard user goes through, they're going to go through the item top to bottom, left to right. That may be great in your most basic slides, but once you start really designing interactive slides, it starts to complicate this focus order, and you have to spend time editing it. Okay. Let's take a look at a slide with just a basic layout. All right. So here we have the title slide again. I have a bunch of different pictures here. I have a shape in the background, some text with titles, this image, and then a box over here with just a developer's note that I don't know about you, but I hide developer's notes off screen
Mhm.
to remind myself about different things or just to kind of keep as a placeholder. The sighted or the sighted learner won't see this at all. But when I bring up the focus order, let's look at this. Focus order, if it goes top to bottom, left to right, the first thing in the focus order is that. And then it goes all the way through here to the shape. And finally, we get to some text. Now, if I'm a screen reader user, I have to cycle through all these things just to get to the text. And so we as developers have to start making decisions on what's important on the screen and what's not. After that, there's a line there that kind of interrupts it, some more text, the picture of Seattle, and even this box that's hidden off screen is still part of the focus order. And so even though it's hidden off screen, a screen reader will still pick it up. And so we need to start to trim down this slide down to what does the learner need to know? What does the learner need from this slide? All these shutter images are just window dressing, just
Mhm.
something I put there to give the learner something to look at. They serve absolutely no learning objective. They are there just to look pretty. If they are there just to look pretty and convey no learning, then take them out of your focus order because it becomes clutter. Okay. I had I spoke with a representative from Department of Services for the Blind, and he used this analogy. Imagine that you're in a very dark room, pitch black room, with a flashlight, and that flashlight can only look at one object at a time. Our screen reader users are basically doing the same thing. They are cycling through one object at a time and looking through one object at a time. And so, if we don't get rid of this clutter or get it out of the way, then they have to sort through all of it just to get to the content. So, if it's just clutter, if it's just window dressing, then I'm going to delete it. You have a couple of ways to take it out of the focus order. One is right here in this focus order box, and it's this delete button down in the corner.
Mhm.
Okay. You delete it, and it goes away. If you accidentally get delete happy, you can click on this plus button, and all the objects you deleted are there, and you could add it back into the the focus order. But I'm going to get delete happy and just delete it all. Now we have this box in the background. Again, it's just there to provide contrast. It does nothing for the learning. I'm getting rid of it. Finally, we're at some content. I'm going to leave that where it is. So I'm going to leave that in the focus order. This line, again, is decorative. Let's get rid of it. This picture is Seattle, as cool as it is, um, decorative. Provides no learning. Get rid of it. And even this box off to the side, it provides nothing. It's just a note to me as the developer. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to talk to you about when you might keep a box like that out there. Um, but for now, I'm getting rid of it. So we went from about 12 different objects down to two. We have streamlined this and we've made it easier for our screen reader user to navigate through. Okay, everybody with me so far?
Well,
Okay.
Joe, what would you do if there was some sort of a music bed going through?
We'll talk about sound when we get. So the music files won't show up in the focus order at all.
Okay.
Okay. So if you add audio to this, a little icon will appear over here, but it won't show up in the focus order. If you have it auto playing, we're going to have a conversation about how we manage that. Um, but for now, it's just playing in the background, right? So I can't control it at this level, and it's not anything your keyboard user or screen reader user are going to be able to do control unless they get to the player controls.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
all right. So this is a pretty basic slide. This is like level 101 slide. What happens if we have a slide like this? So here we have a slide with some angry people up at the top. Then we have the title. We have the four different types, but instead of going type 1, type 2, it goes type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. And each of these types, it's not just one text box. There's one text box there and one text box there. And then we have these pretty lines to kind of help break it all up. If this, or with the focus order going top to bottom, left to right, the first thing in the image in the focus order should be this image. And you notice when you select it, if it's visible, a red focus box will appear there. That's just there for you to be able to see where that object is. But that image isn't the first thing on that focus order. The first thing on that focus order is something called shape background. Shape background is just this shape that I put in the background to change to add some contrast. But because it's up there, top left, first object, top to bottom, left to right, it is the first thing in the focus order. Does it need to be in the focus order? Absolutely not. It's just there to provide contrast. Now, let's talk about images. Images, you as the developer are going to have to decide whether these images are decorative or informative. If they're decorative, if they're just there for window dressing, if they're there just for something pretty or to look at, and they convey absolutely no learning, then get rid of it. But if it is something that you want to make sure that learners see, including your screen reader users, your visually impaired learners, then you're going to need to provide some alt text. And alt text is basically what the screen reader will read instead of the image. Okay, instead of saying image 101, it's going to say it's going to read the alt text. But what type of alt text? And Jody and I were talking about this
Mhm.
briefly before we started. Alt text has to convey the learning that you want to happen. Articulate has an AI alt text generator, and it'll give me a nice description of what this image is. But will it necessarily capture what I want the learner to see? Okay. With images, it's not that bad. With graphs and charts, if you have
Hmm.
pictures of them, the AI generator is just going to say a graph or a chart. But
Yeah.
you want them to see
Hmm.
what's in that graph and chart, and so you have to be descriptive about what's in that image. And so you can add alt text right here in the focus order. You can also add alt text by right clicking on the object, going to accessibility, and typing it in there. Okay. You can also take an object out of the focus order from this tab by unchecking this box, and that will remove it from the focus order. If you, as you're building this slide, if you know this is purely decorative, go ahead and take a second and take it out of the focus order before you ever click on that tab, on that
Hmm.
button. Okay.
So can
Um,
I stop you, Joe? So
yep.
when I say this is not visible for accessibility tools, I won't
Uh-huh.
see it in the focus order. That removes it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave it as decorative. And even though I undid it from the object itself, it still appears down here as the image,
Mhm.
and you can
And
add it back into the focus order here.
may I ask you another question? So this
Of
is
course.
a good example because I think like as I'm looking at your slide, to me, I totally see why you're removing it, you
Hmm.
know. But as a person who can see it, it does add like an intensity to the
Hmm.
problem.
Hmm.
So I sort of like it for that reason. But if I'm a person who is not sighted, and I would never see those faces anyway.
Right.
So it's less important. So I'm kind of conflicted
Right.
about whether or not to keep it or not. I guess it would depend like how many people I think we're going to use a screen reader and have the benefit of me telling them this is an intense picture. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so my
And there
my
is
instinct is like chuck it.
there is no right answer to this one. It is
Okay.
purely from you as the developer. You have to make the decision. Is this important enough for me to add alt text to? What you could do though, you could add it back into the focus order and you could drag it, put it all the way down at the bottom of the focus order
Hmm.
so that it doesn't enter, even though it appears here up at the top.
Hmm.
um you can take it and move it past all the content so that they get the content first and then
Hmm.
they get the description of the image.
Okay.
Okay. Which brings me to why I show this slide, which is the ability to create a custom order. If we use the
Hmm.
default order, it's all discombobulated, right? It goes, all right, there's the title, type one, but then it goes to type three
Hmm.
because, again, because top to bottom, left to right, and those are separate objects than the descriptions. Finally, it gets to that. So we got to play with the order of the focus order here. To do that, there's a button up there that says create custom focus order. Once you click that, you can drag and drop these in any order you like. And so really what the first thing we want the learners to read is that slide title, right?
Hmm.
And then we want them to read the types in order. So we got to play with the order a little bit. We're going to put the type 1 and then find the description for type 1. And because I didn't do any naming conventions to it or label any of my boxes or pretty intermittently, I have to guess which one. Luckily, it shows me, oh, that one. Okay. And then the next thing in the focus order I want them to go to type 2 and then find the description for type 2 and put that next. And now I want them to go to type 3 and find the description for type 3 and put it afterwards.
This is a real argument for giving all of your objects a meaningful name.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. In fact, Yeah, I'll stand on that soapbox for a second, John, because it's something that I didn't used to do until I had an intern who came from a programming background,
Mhm.
and he really helped drum it in that you needed naming conventions for your objects just to make them easier to find, not just in your focus order, but when you're creating triggers as
Mhm.
well. Being able to tell the difference between rectangle 1 and rectangle 20 by
Uh,
adding a simple descriptive name to it will save you a lot of energy and a lot of time. I have a document that that he came up with that I still use regularly. Let's see if I can drop this into chat. That looks like that works. Okay,
Got it. Thank you.
so that is just something he came up with, and I continue to use just as a way to standardize my naming conventions as I build things. Off that soapbox, back on target. The line dividers are purely decorative. We don't need them.
Hmm.
This custom focus order, that's a developer's note. We don't need that in the focus order. And so, Jody, if you were going to leave
Hmm.
the image in there, drag it all the way
Yeah.
to the bottom so that they get to
Hmm.
the content first and then see the picture, right?
Hmm.
And so, depending on how you've built the slide and how you've broken things up, will decide how much manipulation of this custom order you have to do. But this is still a pretty basic slide. It is a flat slide. There are not layers, there are not buttons, there's nothing going on here other than just text. Let's take it up another level. And let's talk about what happens when you start to add buttons and layers. Okay. So this slide is built. Let me bring up the presentation again and jump to that slide. This slide is built so that there are triggers that when the user clicks the button, it shows a layer. When they click the button, it shows the layer. They click the button, it shows the layer. Okay. Pretty basic tab interaction or button interaction. But look at the focus order and tell me what you see. I'll move this over here. What's the very first thing on that focus order?
Is that like you're open for one of those text boxes?
The
It is
text.
When I can't, heading
it,
3.
yeah, when I click that, no red box appears.
Yeah.
What this is this
Oh,
is
it's in your layer. I
it,
see.
it the layer heading 3
Yeah.
and the text box with the opposite. So
Hmm.
it not only puts top left or top, bottom, left, and right, it's top layer. So
Hmm.
it takes the objects from the top layer and puts them at the top of the focus order. If I change the order of the layer, I move heading 2 up. I go back to the focus order. Now heading two's up there. Okay.
So it took, I'm just trying to remember. So like if I'm guessing like when you were laying this out, heading 1 was like your first bucket, 2
Mm-hmm.
was your second, third, but because the way it's reading it, it's taking the last one
Yeah.
first. Is that what?
It takes the very top
Okay.
layer. So
Top.
top to bottom, left to right means also top layer.
Okay.
And all those objects on the top layer, and then all of those objects on the next layer below it. So it doesn't get to the base layer until it gets down here where, and you know it's the base layer because it's the same name as your slide. Okay, so whatever you name that slide, it's the same name. But this doesn't necessarily work
Mhm.
because what winds up happening, reload this. So I'm going to show you when I tab through it using just the keyboard, I get a yellow focus and that automatically
Mhm.
appears there. When I hit the button, the object appears. But
Mhm.
if I go over here and hit button 3, I can't go back to button 2
Two. Mhm.
without hitting shift tab. And I
Mhm.
can't get down to that this button down here until I tab a gazillion times
Mhm.
to get back there. Okay? So this is where This is where we start to lose our visually
Hmm.
impaired learners who can't see the screen if we don't take the time to fix this focus order. The way we have to do it is you have to take you have to think about it in the order of interactivity. So if the first thing I'm going to do is set it to create my own order. I'm going to put the slide title at the very top, drag that all the way to the top. Then I want them to hit button 1. What's the next thing I want them to read after button 1? Is all the content from whatever appears on that layer. And so I have to find that layer. Oh, there it is. Button 1 unlocks heading 1. And so I'm going to take all this content and drag it up here to under button 1. And we're going to do that for button 2 and button 3 as well. And then button 3 there, and take that out of the focus order. But you notice if I click on something on the base layer, I get the red focus saying, hey, this is what that
Hmm.
object is. But if I click on something that's on one of those other layers, unless I actually have the layer visible, I don't get to see the focus. And again, this is where naming conventions are really important because you could look at that list and go, okay, I know what that is. These images on each of these, they're decorative. I'm getting rid of them. And so as you start to build this, this is the way, if you're going to have a tabbed interaction or content that appears after a user clicks the button, then you need that right afterwards. If it's not on the screen reader won't read it. And so you want to make sure that any content that appears after that interaction is right after it so that it can be read. All right, everybody with me?
How does
Yeah.
the learner know what to do here without being
So,
able to see those buttons?
well, I'm gonna, that's where showing you how the screen reader behaves becomes important. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Um, and so that leads me into the next section, because when it gets to a button, the short answer is when it gets to a button, anything that you've put a when the user clicks this, do something, Articulate immediately labels it as a button in the programming, and the screen reader immediately identifies it as a button. And so the
Oh,
screen reader will say button XYZ.
clever.
And so then they know, oh, that's something I can click on.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Screen reader.
Well, that's interesting, Joe, because I feel I have been instructed by people to give alt text to buttons and say like up, tab one and then colon selectable, and then when it's visited, tab one colon visited, and it takes a lot of time. So it's
That
interesting to
does. And
yeah.
it's unnecessary. It's unnecessarily repetitive. And I'll show
Okay.
you why. So real quick, screen readers basically are designed to read what's on the screen um, and convert digital text to synthetic speech. They, like I said, they read top to bottom, left to right. They identify elements such as headings, buttons, and links. These are the two most popular out there. Jaws is a lot of money each year, and NVDA is free. So I use NVDA. They are compatible. Jaws set the standards. NVDA made it open source so that made an open source version that follows the same standards, and you don't need to do any special programming for either one. You build for one, the other follows. Um, and so, but they are out there. If you don't have a screen reader yourself and you want to play with it, go out and get NVDA. Okay. And when you Google NVDA, make sure you Google NVDA screen reader because there is NVDA the graphics card,
Hmm.
and you'll get PC parts. So if you're a gamer, that's exciting. If not, It's not as not you're stuck wondering.
Hey Joe,
Um,
can I ask you a question about that?
mhm,
Um, I just have a new laptop and I notice I have a Surface Laptop Pro
mhm.
and it says that there's a screen reader built into it, but I don't know if it's the one that you're talking about.
Now,
So,
Windows has um, its own version called Narrator. If you go into your
narrator.
Windows right now, you type Narrator, it'll
Hmm.
come up.
Okay.
Narrator works,
Hmm.
but most people aren't using it. You
Yeah.
can use it in a pinch, and it functions the same way as these do,
Okay.
but I'd still test it with these.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay?
because I see it. I saw it when I thought like, okay, that's a tool for me as a user, not as a developer. It's like something quick and easy to use.
Yeah.
And occasionally, if I'm working on a project, I'll pop it on and see what it does. But I'm going to leave a question for the
Desktop,
end for you about it.
show
But thank
meeting
you.
control, hide,
Yeah. And
desktop,
I'll tell you, if you're
hide
working
video
for an
button,
organization,
desktop,
um,
Hmm.
NVDA, because it's open source, starts to make IT shops twitch a little bit.
Hmm.
But it's been tried, it's been tested, it's been adopted, and they are really in control of their product.
Hmm.
Uh, and so it's a number of state and federal organizations have vetted it. We're using it all across Washington State in
Okay.
our shops. So if they start to twitch, just tell them to get over it. So one of the things that I started doing with my courses, though, was building a course accessibility slide. This is the very first slide on every single screen or every single course I build.
Mhm.
And this slide is designed to communicate how I expect keyboard users and screen reader users to interact with my content. Okay. And it sets the groundwork because I know early on the our e-learnings didn't behave the way screen readers expected websites to behave. And so we had to really be clear on this is how we want you to interact with our courses. And so the first thing I say, keyboard navigation, if you're navigating with a keyboard, use the tab key and spacebar or enter to click. Screen reader users, I tell them this course has been tested using this version of this screen reader. Um, I also let them know, John, to your point, hey, audio narration is going to start automatically. Okay. So please wait until the audio narration uh, stops before you go looking around with your flashlight. Okay.
Mhm.
Once it stops, you can use the tab key to get from interactive object to interactive object. And you can also use the up and down arrow keys to cycle through all the other objects. I put some stuff there around um, Articulate's accessible text button and Zoom. Zoom is a second is another program. It's not Zoom that we're using right now. It is Zoom is a zoom in text or a magnifier that blows the screen up to 200 or 300%. We've adapted it to try and make it work there. The last thing we did was a late addition because people didn't know how to get a hold of us if they had problems with the course. So if they have problems with the course, I want them to reach out to me and tell me, not go tell my boss, hey, this, or tell their boss these courses don't work. Reach out to me and let me figure out what's going on. And so just putting some additional content in there. I'm going to give you a copy of this storyline file when we're done here so that you can have that and take it and get a copy of this slide if you want to take it and adapt it to your own needs. All right. So let's look at what the screen reader says. Now, I'll tell you, you can test the screen reader in preview mode, but sometimes it doesn't play well. I publish it as just a website instead of publishing it to review because review you have all those other review stuff that you got to tab through and focus through. I publish it as for a web onto a hard drive, and I just find the index, the story file, and open that up, and it will open up the web page. All right, I'm gonna go turn on JAWS for a second, or NVDA. Give me a second.
Loading NVDA. Please wait.
All right, everybody hear
Desktop.
NVDA?
Okay. Okay, AUC, desktop.
The rate that I have NVDA set is adaptive for me. I listen to a lot of books and audiobooks and podcasts, and I listen to them at 1.3, 1.5. And so it's set for me. I'm going to slow it down for you all. The average screen reader user is listening to it at ×2, ×3, really, really, really fast. They absorb the information a lot quicker than you or I. And so if you watch a screen reader user interact with it, it's just blah 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 blah, and it's
Desktop.
really crazy.
Articulate story. Search toggle button not pressed. Zoom work. Search. Search window. Search. Panel. NVDA's. NV.
All right, so in NVDA, you
Panel.
can go into
Position.
settings
Rate. Slider 100 Alt plus R.
and
79.
adjust it.
Okay. Can apply. Cat NV. Okay. Okay. AUC. Human resources.
All right, so
Main landmark Getty Images 11754155574.jpg graphic Getty Images 11754155574.
so notice if I don't put alt text behind an image and I leave it in the focus order,
Graphic Getty Images 1175415.
it reads the file name.
Oh, God.
And so that's going to be confusing. All right. You got to fix that real quick. If you're going to leave it in the order, get rid of it. Or if you're going to leave it in the order, put some alt text behind it.
Graphic Getty Images 117. Graphic Getty Images 117. Graphic Getty Images 117. Graphic Getty Images 11754155574.
Okay. And then
Rectangle 1.
notice this focus box. If you open up NVDA, you have to turn on this focus box. It isn't default on. And it will save you a lot of time and energy just trying to figure out where NVDA is on your screen. And so I highly recommend going in and doing that. I'm going to share a link to a NVDA crash course that one of my peers developed to help new developers learn how to use NVDA and test our courses with it. So I'll share that link.
See my learning community of
Let me do that right now.
resources.
Joe, we're in the last 10 minutes here. If you want to continue on, that's fine with me, but other people might want to get back to their lives.
Yeah, I'm
Not
sorry,
me.
John. I always run long.
This is my life.
There is the link to the NVDA starter guide that my peer developed, and it's awesome. It has everything. All right, so
Speech mode off. Speech mode beeps. Speech mode talk.
so as I go through there,
Mastering focus order.
finally we get through the
Line
content.
1. The key to truly accessible graphic Getty Images 477. No focus order.
All right,
From Vince
so that's
Pedroja,
with
CPT.
no focus order set. We take the focus order
Sidebar region menu property page
and
mainland. The key to truly mastering focus order. The key
now
to
the
truly
only things
accessible
in the
e-learning in
focus
storyline
orders are those two
360.
things. When I get to the bottom of the focus order, listen to what it says.
Blank. Button back to top.
Button back to top. This is a required spot by WCAG. WCAG has a rule that says you have to have a way to skip through all the other clutter, all the static stuff. In our case, it's for e-learning. It's all this the player,
desktop
all the
Windows
player
ML
stuff,
source.
the menu on the side, the buttons at the bottom,
Desktop resources.
everything up here. If I
Desktop.
don't skip through that, watch what happens.
Playback controls region toggle button pressed play. Clickable slide progress slider 005 slash button replay. Control out of region miscellaneous controls region volume slider A button collapsed out of region slide navigation landmark button enter full screen.
Even I as a screen reader user, to get to the next and previous button, have to go through all of this
Mhm.
just to get
Previous.
to
Control plus Alt plus
previous
button next. Control plus Alt.
and next.
Mhm.
Okay? I have gotten in the habit of not using Articulate's next and previous buttons and building my own and putting them on the
Create and share
slide
Adobe PDF.
so that
Speech mode on demand.
so that they are sooner in the focus order and they don't have to go through all those controls.
Could that be
Um,
put on a master slide?
you could, as long as you aren't doing a lot of programming behind it, right?
Okay.
If as long as it's just click next and go to the next slide, but you want it to go to the next story, putting it in the master slide may affect that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So when I click, um, all right,
Speech mode off. Speech mode beeps. Speech mode talk.
when I click the back to top button,
Blank. Main
it
landmark
takes me
master and
back to the
focus
top
order.
of my focus order. Okay. So you as a developer don't have to do anything with this other than know it's there.
Where does
And you
that
also
back to
have,
top button come from?
um,
The key to
if
truly
I
accessible
navigate
e-learning
it,
in Storyline
if I
306.
if I navigate using the arrow keys, the back to top button doesn't appear, but
Blank. Button back to top.
it's there. And I press spacebar and it goes.
Blank.
If I press tab,
Back to top
it
button.
takes it to me.
Oh, it depends on the navigation that the learner has selected.
Exactly. It depends on how the learner's navigating it.
Okay. Thank
Either
you.
way, it has to be present and Articulate's built it in. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Screen reader.
So let's
Sidebar region
go
menu
here
property. L. Main landmark. This is a generic text box.
and let's just talk about how it reads text. When it reads text, you put a text box, it's going to read whatever's in that text box, right? Um,
Slide. Main landmark. This is a generic text box. This is a shape with text in it.
if you take a shape, you type text in it, it treats it as a text box and reads the text. Okay. If you put alt text behind it,
Eric Stavney has left the meeting
then
alert.
then it will read the alt text.
The alt text is used to make the screen reader say something different.
And so this text box has alt text that said that, and it reads the alt text, not the text that's in the box. Okay.
This is text with a hyperlink to link Google Dot.
Okay. You hear it say link Google.
Eric Stavney
Dot.
put in waiting room alert.
Um,
Eric Stavney put in waiting room alert. Eric Stavney has entered the waiting room for this meeting. Press F6 to view pop-up or press Alt plus U.
If it says
the alt text, this is text with a hyperlink to link Google Dot.
that tells the user,
Eric
hey,
Stavney
there's a
has
link
joined the
over
meeting
there.
alert.
And now the user can press tab to go to the
Google
link.
AUC, mastering focus order document. This is text with a hyperlink to link Google Dot. Google link.
Google link, and I can press spacebar or enter and click it, and it will take me to Google. I'm not going to do that because we're in this.
Blank. Button back to top.
We talked about the back to top button. Let's
Buttons
talk
visit,
about
buttons
buttons
visited.
in general. Okay.
From Eric Stavney to everyone. Main landmark button generic button.
When you put a button in there, this is just the standard storyline insert button.
Slide.
Listen to what
buttons.
it says.
Main landmark button generic button.
It says button generic button. Why is it saying button twice? Anybody know?
So you know,
Well,
so
it
the
is
learner
a
knows it is a
button.
button.
And then you wrote button in it.
I
So it's
wrote
got
button in
both.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will label it as button. The first thing it'll do is say button, and that tells the user, hey, it's a button. And then it reads whatever text is in there, and because I wrote generic button in there, it gets redundant.
Is that a storyline button right there? So that
Yep,
was
that's
like
a
a built
storyline
in.
button.
Okay. It looks
Okay.
like the next two are you made up, right?
Right.
Button
Next
shape
one
turned into a button.
is a shape that's turned into a button, and because it's because I put that trigger behind it, when the user clicks, that labels it as a button, and the screen reader reads it as a button. The next one, and Thaddeus, I think this was you talking about this.
Button shape with states, normal.
Okay, so it reads the normal state.
Shape with states, selected.
If I click it and the state changes and the text changes, it reads the selected state. But this
Button
one
shape turned into a button.
also has
Visited.
a hover state. And it
Shape with
will
states.
not,
Selected. Button shape with states. Selected.
it will not read the hover state at all because the hover state is not visible. Okay. So it will tell the difference
Vince
between the
Budrovic,
different states.
CPT has left the meeting alert.
If you're using images with different states, you're going to want to put different alt text for each of those to make sure that it picks it up. But yeah, you add the steps that you were talking about can seem really redundant if if you don't know what it's doing. So you can also hide this text box off the screen. You know how I had those developer notes off the screen? They will also get picked up over there in the focus sorter. So you can either hide it on the screen. I hide it behind images sometimes. But having it hidden so that the sighted user doesn't see it, but the screen reader can still pick it up is another way to get that hover information on it. The other
Button click
way,
this box to show
Hey, Joe,
additional
can I ask you
information.
a question before? Okay, I'll wait till you're done. I do have a question
the
about
other way is to
hovering.
turn it into a click interaction.
Hmm.
Rather than just a hover interaction. Turn it into a click so that they have to click on it, and now the text is there,
Change the
and
interaction
now
from
I
a hover
can
to a click.
access it. Okay, Jody?
Yeah, so this is terrific, by the way. And I'm one of those people who I got rid of hovering a while because it just seemed like it made things complicated. But I was
Mhm.
working the other day and using Articulate's built-in markers
Mhm.
that have a hover for like a title, and then it can collapse it and open it. Does that work the same way? Like it won't read it, or will it?
The markers, if the markers have the built-in text box around it,
Mhm.
it will read it if it's visible. So if it's just when they hover over it that it appears, it won't read it. If you have to turn it into a click interaction.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so like if I have like if instead of using boxes, we had like markers, and when you hover over it, so like I think sometimes it's just gives you a piece of it, but then it can open up the whole way, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it won't read it until you click on it, right?
Right.
Okay, great.
If it's not visible, it won't read it, and so and double check it.
Hmm.
Always test these things,
Yeah.
um, and make sure that
I find the testing exhausting
it is.
because
Um,
that's why I get rid of things because then I don't have anything to test. Like
keep it simple,
invisible,
right?
not important.
Yeah. Um,
Thank
all
you.
right. Tables.
Sidebar region menu property page menu nav main landmark. This is a generic table.
Um,
Table with 5 rows and 3 columns table.
okay. So it labels, hey, this is a table. There are 5 rows,
Eric
3
Stabney
columns.
has left the meeting alert.
Hmm.
Row 1 column 1 name.
And then when it moves to it, I'm just pressing the down arrow. When it moves to the next spot, it gives you a marker on where it is.
Column 2 zip. Column 3 phone number. Row 2 name. Column 1 Kevin Reed.
Okay. So there's audio cues for the learner to know where they are in this table. Okay. Don't put complex tables in here. Keep it simple. If you start merging cells, and that's when
Hmm.
things get really hectic and
Hmm.
bad for the screen reader. Keep the tables simple if you can.
Sidebar region menu property page menu. Main landmark. Bring the following item.
Lists.
Slide. Main landmark. Bring the following items on your trip. List with 3 items. Bullet shoes.
If you're using bullets or numbering, it labels it as lists. If you're creating your own little visual bullets or numbering and you aren't pressing those buttons, then it's not going to do this. But notice
Out of list with 3 items. Bullet shoes.
it says, hey, there are 3 items in here. But Joe, there's 5 items there.
List with 2 items. Bullet comfortable.
Hmm.
Bullet dressy. Out of list. Bullet computer.
And then it goes back. So your screen reader users are used to that behavior, but just realize
Out of
that
list. Bullet
as long as you
shoes.
use the bullets
Bullet out of list with 3 items. 1 shoes.
or the numbers,
List with 2 items. A comfortable. B dressy. Out of list. 2 computer.
then it will auto label them as list objects, and so the learner knows to navigate through lists.
Are those text boxes there that it's
Yep.
cycling through? Okay.
hmm It's one. It's
Desktop Windows ML source. Speech mode on demand. Speech mode off.
so that one is just um, a single text box with bulleted text in it.
Okay.
Okay, but the screen reader will navigate through line by line through the objects or through the list and label it as a list item.
So if you on this one,
hmm
let's say you got your shoes, and instead of making it two sub bullets, you did a paren and put comfortable, dressy, close paren, it would read it as three.
Yeah, it
Okay.
you can make this bullet whatever you want it to be as
Okay.
long as it's still using that bullet format.
Okay.
Then it will be fine. It's when you decide, forget that bullet button, I'm just going to make my own bullets and make it look
hmm
pretty, right?
hmm
That it will still read the objects, but it's not going to label it as a list, and
hmm
that may affect how your learners behave with the content.
Yeah, because when I see it, it's clear to me that that's a list with a sub list
hmm
that, because you wanted to like call it out. So,
Right.
but like hearing it, it's like not as obvious. So, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Speech mode beeps. Speech
Is
mode talk.
using the numbered list the best practice? That seemed to make a little bit more sense if you're just listening to it.
Six one. If you're doing a multi-level here, maybe the problem
Yeah.
with adding numbers to it, numbers automatically imply priority,
Yeah. And an
especially for
order.
the
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah
yeah.
order or
Hmm.
priority. So, uh, if that's not important, then maybe you can stick to the bullets.
I struggle with that all the time.
Mhm.
But I always think of it as this, like if you put numbers on something, it means you want it done in that order. And
Right.
it's important that it's done in that order. If you just put bullets, it's like doesn't have to be in that particular order. So that's how I usually think of it. Do I want them to, is it a procedure where it has to be done one, two, three, four, five, six, or is it like here, just like a list, then it doesn't matter.
This next one
Sidebar region menu property.
is probably the most important thing when we talk about prepping it for a screen reader, and that is using text styles. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Text styles aren't just there to help standardize the look across your slides. Text styles play a key role in accessibility and in the way screen readers behave. When I go down here,
Main landmark heading level 1 text styles.
notice it says heading level 1.
hmm
Okay. It now has set this as a priority. I, as a sighted user, can look at these texts and we can see, oh, there's a difference between this text and this level and this level. And I can scan to the heading level that I want to see and then read the text below it. The screen reader user, if you don't take the time to use the heading levels, would have to go,
Heading level 2. What are headings and subheadings? Headings and subheadings provide structure blank.
would have to
Heading level
cycle
2. Why
through
headings and subheadings?
each
hmm
of
They signal
these
what each
to get to the bottom. But
blank.
if you use
Heading level slide text styles.
the if you use the text styles and the heading levels, then they have a shortcut key, and that's the H key. And the H key
Main landmark text styles heading level 1. What are headings and subheadings? Why headings and subheadings
Oh,
matter?
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Headings heading level 2.
allows them to scan the headings like a sighted user would and find the one that they want to read about.
The
so Joe,
shift.
this is like the Shift H. Like this is the one when I'm getting my accessibility checker and Articulate, I get this alert all the time. And I didn't realize you just explained it to me, then now I know I that's important. I usually ignore it. I can
Yeah.
skip it. Because even if I just have like a one heading, like a title on the slide, it
Right.
asks for that. And I didn't, until you just show that, I didn't realize like why that was important. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And this isn't just in storyline. This is with
hmm
your Word docs as well.
Yeah.
Um, Heading styles or text styles matter,
hmm
and it really makes the text navigable for your screen reader user. Um, and so making sure that you set those text styles isn't just a design to make your design consistent. It labels it in a priority so that the screen reader knows, oh, I can do this. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to show here is
Slide, quiz.
this is a generic quiz slide that that I just use Articulate's or Storyline's quiz maker on.
Radio button, slide, quiz. Main landmark, pick the correct answer. Radio button not checked, this is the correct answer.
So notice it saying whether the radio button has been clicked or not, or checked or not.
Checked, checked.
If I press spacebar enter, it labels it as checked.
Radio button not checked, this is the wrong answer, number 1.
And
Radio button checked, this is the correct answer.
And when I go back to it, it labels it as checked. Okay? So if you're doing multiple choice, this is important to know that whether it's multiple choice or you put check boxes or anything in your course, it labels it as checked or unchecked. Okay? The thing about this with this quiz slide, again, where's that submit button? That submit button is way down here.
Submit. Submit.
And I, as a screen reader user, are going to have to go through all of this just to get to that submit button.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to shortcut it, put the submit button on the screen. If you don't want it visible on the screen, you could even have a submit button off of the screen that's just for the screen reader users.
Mm-hmm.
But it's otherwise they're having to go all the way to there to submit.
Submit. Slide navigation, that's right. Heading level 1 correct.
When it shows the layer, hey, it reads it. So you don't have to play with the focus order at all.
Button continue. That's heading level 1 correct.
And it even, notice it even took that check mark out of the focus order. If you're using Storyline's default results slides. Mm-hmm. If you're making your own results slides, you have to play with the focus order. You have to set that focus order. All right.
Button unavailable. Submit. Speech mode on. Speech mode off.
Okay, so that's just a snapshot of the different ways that a screen reader will behave. I think I covered the majority of it. Get in there and play with your screen. Play with the screen reader. Test it. Check out that link to the intro guide to NVDA. It covers focus order a lot. Again, but it will also teach you the basics on how to use NVDA with your course. It's important to understand how the screen reader is going to behave, so that you can start to clear up the content and design with accessibility in mind. If you know how the screen reader is going to behave, then you can make decisions when you're building that course around. I do 3 levels of testing on my courses. When it's all said and done, I first test it just like a regular course, right? Make sure everything works, all the buttons work, good, and I could get to the end. Then I run through the course a second time, this time using only keyboard navigation. Tab key and spacebar and enter. I throw the mouse in a drawer. Can I get through the course with just the keyboard? The last test I do is with a screen reader. I run the course again, this time with the screen reader on. Is it reading everything I want it to read in the order I want it to read it? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then if you really want to challenge level this, cover up that screen. Make it so that you can't see that screen as well. We as visual learners, or as visual people, will cheat. Even though we're testing the screen reader, we can see the screen, and we've been in this course a gazillion hours now, and we know how things behave, right?
Yeah.
Cover up the screen, it puts it at a little bit more challenge and helps you really test it.
I know, like one of those, when I didn't even know what a screen reader was when I started doing this, and I actually blindfolded myself once, because hearing the screen reader and looking at it was so distracting. Like, to me, it was like either one or the other. Like, either I just listened and tried to make sure things were happening the way I wanted it to happen. But
Hmm.
when you said cheating, I don't know if it's cheating. It's just that you can't turn it off.
Right.
You can't turn
Yep.
your eyesight off. You're used to having it.
Hmm. Yeah. And
Um,
and again, because we developed this course, we've
yeah,
spent a gazillion hours in it. We know exactly how it's supposed to behave.
yeah,
And we predict and build it based on that. It's going to take users to get in there and break it for us
yeah.
and tell us something's not working. All
And
right.
can I ask you another question? Like as you're developing for the state of Washington up there, like
Mhm.
is like 10% of your audience like using these is it 2%, 20%? Are they
I
going back and forth? What's
I
your
don't
sense of
know.
that?
I I,
Hmm.
I I'd say probably about five,
Hmm.
five-ish. I don't think
Hmm.
it's 10,
Yeah,
but it's a significant enough
yeah.
where I've had users call me up and say, "I'm a screen reader user and
Hmm.
the course is broken."
And
Okay.
you
I
made a
spent
very good argument for this is beneficial to people who aren't
Yeah.
officially
But
handicapped.
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
I know
it's the
like when
same
I
thing
hurt
with
my
caps.
neck, like I could not use my hand. So
Mhm.
I had to use the keyboard, which I never used. And now it's like, man, that's pretty easy to use that. So that humbled me into doing it. But not being able to rely on your eyes on something
Mhm.
that's pretty visual, at least the way I develop it with all the fluff in mind, because to me it adds something. And then I always feel bad when I'm stripping it out, but I understand like it's not necessary.
Yeah. Uh,
That's
that's
interesting.
that's it for my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If Articulate or the screen reader isn't behaving the way you want it to, give me going
You
to
know what? You
WebAIM.
said something though that I never thought of until you just did it though. And I don't know if this is like a philosophy. You talked about putting your own buttons on the screen, which I
Hmm.
usually do, but it didn't occur to me ever that that screen reader is going to go through every single item on
Yeah, yeah.
that accessibility bar. I mean, that's the way it's kind of positioned. You use this to make it easier for everybody to use your course, to control the video, to control the volume, to bring up your subtitles and everything. And it didn't occur
It's
to me like it's a hassle if you have to go through
it's
it every
it's not a
time.
great design feature for
Yeah.
what Articulate is built, and I wish they would change it. But getting Articulate to change something in Storyline is sometimes like asking a semi to do a U-turn. Um,
Because I feel
and
bad like when I turn off all those features. Because like if I don't have, let's say I don't have narration in a
uh
course, I don't need the subtitle button, right? Or the
right,
closed caption button. And then I
yeah.
get a nasty gram like you're supposed to have that in your bar. I have an accessibility issue then. So I'm like, skip it. I don't care. But it just seems like things are fighting each other all the
Mhm.
time, I don't know. That's like this is doing it, but now it wrecks this part. And then I don't know. It's just, and
And there is the storyline file if you want that, if you want it for the accessibility
thank you.
slide that we built. Otherwise, reach
Thank
out
you.
to me. I'm always available on LinkedIn. That seems to be my latest taunt these days.
Hmm.
And I'd be happy to chat. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Joe,
Joe.
thank you very much for a
Thanks,
very
Joe.
helpful rundown of accessibility. Certainly appreciate that.
I'm sorry I always run long for you,
No,
John.
it's interesting. I would have had a bigger glass of wine if I were knowing you were going to go like 19
Now,
more minutes.
now we know you are most generous, sir, with your time and appreciate it.
All right.
You guys are great. I always learn so much on these. So, and I'm sorry I
Me
missed
too,
two
yeah.
weeks. So I missed Ron's and I missed Yvonne's, and
The
Hmm.
I
recordings are
appreciate.
available.
I think I went looking for them and I couldn't figure it out. So I'm glad you said that. I got to go find them.
Oh,
I mean, I didn't mean to be totally helpless like on Thaddeus's thing, but it's like I can't figure out how to do this. So,
I will email the link to you. We have
okay.
a YouTube channel.
I know. I
So
thought I went there, and that's just like uh okay, boomer. Like can't find things.
yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. You guys are great.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
John, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you all. I very appreciate your attendance and your participation.
See you in May.
Okay.
Bye, Jody. Good seeing you.